you don't need to spend thousands of dollars for it. So part of those chapters is the recognition of, like, to bring your authentic self doesn't necessarily need to cost anything. You just need to know what you're working with and the history of it, and to honor the history of it.
So my brain is like firing in so many different places. Okay. So the first thing is IFS, for folks that are tuning in is internal family systems. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we're kind of talking about in this example. The second thing is, it's so funny that you bring up IFS, because someone, and I don't remember, Biani, do you remember what, which post this was? But somebody was talking in the comment section on our page recently about IFS. And I think you brought up Reiki or something related to IFS. Oh no, she didn't. Okay, Biani didn't respond yet. But I think that is such a great example of a few different conversations. Evidence-based practice, because I have a question for you about evidence-based about evidence-based practices. And then this other piece in your response too, related to culture, and how many of the practices that are a part, it came across as lessons to me that you include. And for those that are watching, some of the lessons that I felt like that are included in the book are double checking that interventions do not cause harm, how to avoid cultural appropriation, what spirituality isn't, authenticity as a psycho-spiritual therapist, right? Like I felt like I loved those, and there's so many more, but those were the ones that I wanted to, bring to this space. And I wanted to ask you, why was it important? And again, I feel like this ties into, your response to that last question, but why was it important to you to have chapters that talked about, those again, lessons?
In part because I recognized not just that people were asking, how do I say that I'm a spiritual therapist? How do I bring my full self into the session? But also my experiences, like my experience of sort of coming out as a psycho-spiritual therapist, and recognizing even the things that are called evidence-based are actually very ancient. So just as an example, sorry, I'm going to a tangent. Just an example, somebody yesterday, and we were talking about IFS. And when you go back far enough, like IFS is about parts, right? So I was talking about IFS as parts. Well, this can go back to like the 80s, the studies of roles in families, the scapegoat, the jester, the perfect child. You can go back even further than that. You can go to Carl Jung, the archetypes, right? The different archetypes in the dream space. But you can go back even further than that, because where did he get that from? He got that from Kenya and Mexico. He got that from indigenous people who understood that we are multifaceted, and within each person, there's a number of, this may sound strange, but there's a number of different perspectives that should be checked in with. And sorry, I'm saying and going forward, if you're just looking at IFS, it looks original, it looks new, you have to get a certification for it. And for me, I'm like, you don't need a certificate. This is ancient. You can get one if it makes you feel better. But if you understand where it comes from and that it has the same outcome, the same effect, if you're using it properly, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars for it. So